Okay, I decided to do another example just so you could see another way to do this problem here. So I normally always pick the top one to substitute, but this time I'm going to pick the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight right here. Okay, so I'm going to use this bottom one here to replace the y on the top over here. So essentially what I'm going to do is take this one here, y equals positive 2x minus 1, and I'm going to replace it right here, okay, to the other line on the top. That way you can see that it still works. So what I'm going to do now is, again, this section right here where I'm underlining in black, I'm going to rewrite it, equals x plus 2. And what I'm going to do here, instead of y, where normally we'll go here, I'm going to replace it with 2x minus 1 because y equals 2x minus 1. So I could substitute it. And a lot of you have done that on the iReady lessons already. So right here I'm going to write, and in green of course, 2x minus 1. Okay? And then I need to decide, like, where do I want the x's? So just for fun, what I'm going to do is choose the other side. I'm going to choose the right side to leave the x's, and then the numbers would go here. Okay, just so you could see another variant of this, right? So what I'm going to do is put 2x minus 1 is equal to x plus 2. So again, I want to leave this x alone because I want the x's on the right side. So what I'm going to do is change this 2x, move it to this side. That way I could have all the x's together. All right, so what I'm going to do is add something to the 2x so it becomes a 0, or subtract. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides of the equation, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to combine like terms. So I combine these terms together, and it makes a giant 0. And I'm left with this minus 1, so it becomes a negative 1. Remember, the minus turns the 1 to a negative, equals 2. And then I have here this like terms here, 1x plus a negative 2x, okay, and so that's going to be a war, and the negative team won by 1 point, so I have negative 1x, and then I bring down the plus 2. Okay, and like we said, we want the numbers on the left, the x's on the right, so this doesn't have an x, so I want to move it over to the other side. So what I'm going to do is do the opposite of addition, which is subtraction. That'll give me a 0. That's what I want. And if I subtract 2 on one side, I got to do it to the other. Okay? So if I combine these terms here together, this gives me a giant 0. And on the right side, I'm left with negative 1x. And then what I do here is combine these terms together, and I get negative 3. And the reason I get negative 3 is because it's a negative party, okay, because they're all negatives and they're getting together. So that's how I got negative 3. And then what I'm going to do next, okay, because x is still not by itself, so I do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to divide by a negative 1 on both sides. This creates a giant 1, so I have 1x is equal to positive 3. So this is my x value. But again, remember the criteria. You need to have the answer in an ordered pair. Okay? Notice I only have the 3. I don't have the y yet. So what I'm going to do now is, normally I always use, again, I pick the top all the time. I could pick the bottom one here, the bottom one. So I'm going to use the bottom one to go ahead and figure out what y is, because I know what x is, so I just have to plug it in here, and that way I could get the y. So what I'm going to do is open up another slide and use a let statement. Let x equal, and if I go back, it's 3. So let x equal 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this equation, because this is the one I've chosen, bring it over, y equals, I'm going to put 2, and since I'm replacing the x, I'm going to put parenthesis, then minus 1. Okay, so this x equals 3, I'm going to plug it in right there, 3. Then I go ahead and work things out. So I have y is equal to 2 times 3 is going to be 6. and then I bring down the minus 1. Then 6 minus 1 is going to be 5. Okay, now I could make my ordered pair. Here's my x value, here's my y value, so I have 3, 5. And then what I do now is check with Desmos. So I go to Desmos, just check my work. Okay, I have y is equal to x plus 2, so I put x plus 2, and there I see the line there in green. Then I put the other one, y equals 2x minus 1, y equals 2x minus 1. Make sure I typed that in right. Yeah, I did. Okay, so then I check where the lines intersect, and notice is that x equals 3 and y equals 5. Notice I got x equals 3 here and y equals 5, and that's how I check my work. And don't forget to take a screenshot and again upload it to the document.